And we are live. Welcome, folks. We are so excited to have you here. My name is Mariah. I'm Senior Director of Community here at Backflip. We're super excited to have you. As a quick nod to who we are, Backflip is a free app that helps investors to get a good gut check on whether a property is going to be a good investment or not. And so, like I noted, it is free. It's a great opportunity for you to be able to just comp and analyze properties in real time. I have a property myself, and I use it all the time when I'm sourcing for a new investment. So I've been heavily using the app, and I encourage y'all to as well. And then I'm going to just show you it really quickly. And I think it'll be really cool to look both if you are a current member, because we actually have some really cool new features that have come out, and two, if you haven't downloaded it, it'll be a great opportunity to see kind of what we're talking about today, see some of the pictures of the other properties and comps, and Robin can give us his take on what those properties could be doing better. But let me go ahead and I'm going to share a screen super quickly. So like I said, this is the free Backflip app. I highly encourage you to go ahead and utilize it. It's a great way for you to be able to see these different analyses of properties in real time. So this is what it's going to look like when you get into the app. There's a few different screens here. What I want to go to first is this analyze. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to analyze a property in real time. And so I was actually looking at this property today. And hopefully some of you Texas folks can check this one out. But we're going to look at a property in San Antonio. And let me just make sure we get this. All right, so what this is doing is it's pulling all of the relevant comps within a 1 mile radius, and it's taking that into the algorithm, and then it's giving us an analysis. So what you can see here on the top left is that our as-is value, and then what you can see in the center is the after repair value. So you can see here the differential between those two things, but what's really cool is you can go to underneath this in middle square, you can look at comps, and you can actually view all of the comps that this is pulling from. So this is data that like typically is gate kept. And so it's a really cool way for you to be able to see what are other comps in the area, be able to, I'll update this in real time. And so right now you can see it's pulling the top 3 comps here. So you can actually click into each of those comps and see, what they look like, square footage, bed, bath, and actually, these are fascinating. Roman, look, check out these photos. It looks like maybe they could take some of your
Very
tips
nice.
on what they're looking at. But anyways, you can check out all the comps. You can actually add or subtract these comps in real time to give you a more accurate picture of whether this is going to be a good investment for you. So for example, I'm going to add this comp down here. I'm going to add, oh, this one looks interesting. This one. And what you can see here is this ARV is changing in real time. You can always remove comps as well, so if they don't look as relevant. But really cool way for you to get a look at a property and really get that good gut check. Like, is this going to be a good investment or not? And then the last thing I want to highlight on the analyzer page is just this calculate. So we're making some assumptions here. So what you can do is alter this in real time. So if hey, I can actually rehab this for 35,000 instead of 37,000. You can update that in real time, and it'll update this profit section, the ARV, and then the ROI. And for the folks here who also do this, this is as a fix and flip, but you can also look at this as a rehab and rent. So, you can see this one says, let's dig in. So maybe there's some opportunities as a rehab and rent that are different than a fix and flip. So really cool. Like I mentioned, if you haven't already downloaded it, I encourage you to do so. And then a couple other things, just wanted to note, once you're ready to go ahead and purchase the property, you'll go to loans, and you can go ahead and submit your information here. You can go to get a loan, enter your address, or you can just go back to your properties and you can submit a loan application directly from the app. You'll get a quote term sheet within 2 hours. And so it's a really great way for you to just get a good feel of what your loan opportunities are going to be. Last thing, I swear, there is a referral rewards program that we just launched that is really, really cool. Great way for you to get money off of your next loan. So it's a loan credit. Great way for you to do that, like I said. And then a couple other things. We have this cool new feature for those who are members. If you haven't gotten on My Leads, I mean, Roman can speak to this as well. It's just like I've never seen anything quite like it. It'll take all of your wholesale emails from your email once you've connected it and then put it directly into the app and do an analysis for you. You can define your buy box and then it will literally tell you this is going to be a good fit for you or not. And it saves you countless hours out of the day trying to source. Yeah, we also have this opportunity to get a pre-approval letters should you need that. And just wanted to give a quick highlight. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing and hand it back to my incredible colleague Roman, who's going to take it away today and give you some amazing advice and tips about how to improve your listings through your photography.
Brilliant.
Over to
I'm
you.
on. Good. How about that? Exciting. Thank you, Mariah, so much. And yes, my leads. If you love looking at photos of houses, you're going to love my leads. I'm just, it's like a feed for all of your leads. It's pretty cool. And Mariah told me we have about 40 minutes, so we're going to make it count. My name's Roman, and I'm the creative director here at Backflip. And we're remote. I know Mariah just mentioned that, so I'll tell you that I'm based in New York City, and it's snowing here, by the way. I can see. I appreciate you all coming through Memphis, Dallas, Peachtree Corners, rock and roll, more Dallas and some Knoxville. So that's good, but I don't see any New Yorkers in the house. If you're a New Yorker in the house, you better drop your location in the comments, and I'll wait. So, and you might notice from the accent that I'm not born and raised in this country, but I'm sure you can forgive me for that. I have been an image creator in New York, in America for about 20 years. I will tell you that I did some work with Lady Gaga, with NASA. I had a couple of books, photography books at the top of the New York Times bestseller list. I was the editor of those books. So, I've definitely been in the kind of image making space. And then I decided, like all of you, I guess, that real estate investing was the smart move. And then I joined Backflip, as you can see. Um, First of all, did you all download the Backflip app? Oh, all right, Katie, rock on. Katie, yes, from the Upper West. That's what I'm talking about. Now, let me ask, did you all download Backflip? I've actually, even made it nice and easy for you by putting a QR code right there. And why should you do it, apart from all the cool reasons Mariah said, is because later in this webinar, I'm going to show you how to use it to guarantee at least 20 saves immediately on your next Zillow listing. So, that's got to be reason alone. Um, and not to mention, if you do a create account today, this is my little sort of um, piece of advertising that you will get $100 in credit towards your next closing. How about that? If you use this link on the screen. Anyway, um, and whilst you're doing it, all right, Katie, good. Somebody did so. Somebody's paying attention. Anyway, so look, whilst you guys are doing that, I'll just tell you very quickly what this is about. I might even jump back to no, I went back to my previous screen, but let's just say the webinar photography strategies for real estate listings. We're going to talk about why images matter. We're going to look at the difference between hiring a photographer and doing it yourself. We're going to talk a little about staging, which is the emotional component, creating the narrative. I'm going to reveal some insider shooting tips that even the pros don't always apply. And then how to post a listing well, and how to make sure it stays relevant. So basically, we're going entirely soup to nuts, and it's a lot. So I'm ready to dive in. And oh, one last thing, if you do have questions, drop them into the chat. I've got it open in front of me. I will absolutely try to answer them just as soon as I get them. So, feel free to throw it all in there. Um, let's have a look. Strategy one, know the value of a good image. By the way, I'm going to ask a question now, even before we start. And that is anyone here a photographer? In that case, I'll have to just, try and be super smart. If you are, just say yes in the comments. Know the value of a good image. This is something that's been my business for the last 20 years, so I certainly feel like um, I'm an enthusiast at the very least, and I'll tell you to look at it by the numbers. Great, good. I'm glad to see we've got some photographers in the house. Hopefully, you'll have some tips here, that you'll be able to use, moving forward. So, why images matter? Well, according to Redfin, professionally photographed homes were up to 20% more likely to sell. They sold for a higher price, 11K more than unprofessionally photographed homes, and 35% faster. 35% faster. So that's three great reasons right there why to do this right. Now, I'm not saying anyone capable of getting on a webinar is going to be terrible at photographs, but just applying some of those strategies that we see today, um, I think, I mean, data's shown should be worth at the very least $5,000 on your selling price, less than 10 days less on market. So it's that's got to be worth an hour, right? And to me, it's more than that as well. It's like that confidence, with your agent and with your photographer. It's knowing your buyer, right? It's basically mastery of your domain. And good. We're going to do some staging here as well, so it's good that we've got some stylists in the house too. So it's mastery of your domain. And look, the buyers will only go into your house, as you know, if they like it in the pictures. And you only get a couple of seconds to engage a buyer before they swipe to the next listing. So the important question is, can you make that emotional connection right there and then? Can you grab them, before they move along? And that's what we're trying to achieve today. So, on top of that, there's a couple other things worth noting that you're going to obviously make your agent's life easier. And understanding photography is pretty much a duty these days as a project owner. Flipper is more than just a flipper. They own this project. Even if you defer to your photographer, it's good to know what they're talking about. Which brings obviously to the natural question of like hire a photographer, even if that's you. So, let's have a look at what that's, even would cost you. Most professional photographers charge between, at least in a quick research on Thumbtack that I just did, between $110, and $300, 120 and $300 per project for a basic package. These are Dallas prices. Now, other different locations, slightly more, but to be honest, doesn't seem too bad. Honestly, will you get an extra $250 for the house if you hire a pro? The answer is categorically yes. But the bigger question is, could you do better? Because look, humans are flawed, and not all photographers are going to maximize your profit. Um, you know, for various reasons, and I guess the biggest one of all is that the need for speed, right? If a photographer charges 150, $200 for a gig, and they have to do 500 shoots, right, per year to barely make it as a pro, that's like 75K, before tax. So, which means the amount of time they have to, if you think about 500 shoots, and then they've got to travel, edit, image post processing, all that stuff. They've got to move really, really fast, which means they not probably, that's not fair to say. They might well be cutting a few corners, or maybe they're just starting out, and so who knows if they're any good. Um, what am I saying? I mean, what's the conclusion here? You get what you pay for, um, and also what you ask for. Now there's a bunch of questions. Did I include them in my backdrop here? I don't think so. I'll just read them out to you. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to send a bunch of questions that you can ask your photographer when you hire one. That will be really important in helping you evaluate if they're a great photographer. It's about 10, 12 questions. You're going to get it in a little knowledge nugget in the follow-up email after this webinar, and that's something you'll be able to take with you and use in the future. But they're pretty straightforward questions. Some of them, how many photos will you get? There is a right answer to that. How long will the shoot time be? What time of day? Is there anything that you personally can do to help optimize that experience? What photography and equipment they'll be bringing. Will they be bringing lighting, and what their expectations are around that, what post production they might do. There's a few there's a bunch of questions. I'm not going to go through them all right today, but suffice it to say that if you're hiring a photographer, you do want to make sure that you're asking them the right questions, um, and that will be um, something that you can really use. Now, then there's add-ons, right? Um, we've got all these various extras: aerial photography. What does that say here? $80 to $200. Um, is it worth it? Right? Most decent photographers these days do offer it as an add-on. I think it is worth it if, look, it actually could be crucial if your house is located somewhere, in a setting that matters, like it's on a lake, for instance, or there's something about the setting that makes, dropping an extra $150 worth it. So that's really dependent on property. Video, well, you can spend anything from $200 to $5,000 on a video. Let me ask this: has anybody here spent that kind of money on a video for a listing, or have they not? Um, I will say this: that if you're looking for the most bang for your buck, I think that goes to the third one. I think that goes to 3D virtual. That can be as cheap as nothing if you get like Matterport on a trial. That's an app that you can use on your phone. You can go around your property, your house, and that can help build you that 3D, that 3D map. Now, of course, it does cost money, but there are ways to get around it. For 7 days at least. And if you get a pro to do it, it doesn't cost that much more in anyway. It's like $200. But why do I say it's worth it? Because based on Zillow data, listings with Zillow's 3D home tour got an average of 43% more views on Zillow, and was saved by 55% more buyers. Who knew? I didn't know that. I was really excited. I was really impressed to see that, and I think it's a great idea to tap into 3D virtual for future listings, given those kind of numbers. It's not going to break the bank. Any of these things really probably aren't going to break the bank. Although I do agree with you, Bobby, that video isn't necessarily the one that you'll be jumping on first. But it does beg the question: should you DIY it? Is there any upside? And I'm going to give you a few reasons. I'm going to move aside so you can see some reasons maybe why. Look, the point is we're natural DIYers, right? And if you want to, and here's the dirty little secret: if you want to DIY your photography, you totally can. Look, bottom line is the space, right? You know your customer. So if you have a decent eye and a decent camera there and do the research, there's no reason why you won't do a great job of it. And here's some good reasons why. Number one, you can be there all day, right? So we're talking about natural sunlight in the morning, if that's a selling point, or golden hour at sunset. If the view is a selling point, maybe there's a time when the sky is clearest, right? Twilight shots. People talk about twilight shots all the time in listings. Obviously, you have to be there at twilight to do it. You have to be good as well, but you have to be there at twilight. And some people say do it on a cloudy day. Some people say do it on a sunny day. Either way, you want to make sure that it's the weather that you want. So being there, throughout is important, and your photographer won't be. Secondly, that the place and its features. Spend some time, and you spend some time in that space. When the light is beautiful. Like little features around the house. So that plays a big role. Again, you're the project lead, so there's no reason why you shouldn't if you feel like it. And the fourth and most importantly is that everything is easier nowadays, to be honest. um, with Matterport, with the Lightbox, the Adobe program, with Camera, Pro 4, an app. Let me just see this question. I'm able to get a lead on who can give the opportunity. So let me just say this. in terms of leads on photographers, your agent is almost always a great person to go to for a lead. They know who's good, and honestly, they want the best person for the job because it's going to help themselves. So definitely ask your agent. If not, as I said, there's a place like Thumbtack that might be able to help. As long as you check out their work and you ask them the right questions, and then a specific lenses to use. I well, I don't really want to get into that here, and I'm not even a professional photographer. That's the other thing worth noting. I think there are great places on YouTube to find answers to lenses. I do think that if you're going to use a DSLR camera, like having a wide angle lens is pretty important. Why are you even doing it with your good camera otherwise? But I will, I don't really have the insight on which camera for which particular project until I was actually there. However, I am happy to tell you about the key equipment that you will need. And to be honest, to me, that this is the only piece of key equipment you'll need, and that is tripod. Um, whether you're using a iPhone or whether you're using the nicest camera in town, just have a tripod because that's what professionals do and good photographs need. So what happens is you don't get any shake and blur. That's a bare minimum for your photographs. And if you are using a DSLR, you can take photos at lower shutter speeds. You can link up all sorts of professional flashes. Um, and one top tip, if you are using it on your iPhone, um, just set the thing for the 2 second delay. So even when you press the button, you can still step out and there's no sort of shake and shudder on that. And again, and I guess the other piece of equipment is a DSLR camera. But cell phones place an upper limit on what you can do. And I mean, these days it's not even that much difference, really. The best thing about an iPhone is that the files are mercifully small. Like they're so big on a camera, it's kind of takes everything takes a bit longer with that. Um, and with an iPhone, there are actually tons of apps that you can use to step up your game. Um, what you don't get, and I think this is important, is you don't get a wide angle lens. And rooms, as a photographer, you just got to get into all these little corners and make rooms seem as big as possible, as wide as possible. And so a wide angle lens will help you do that. I hope that sort of answers that question for you there. So those are really it. That's it. Then obviously, if you're using a drone, if you want to get into drone photography, do it. There's absolutely there definitely won't be any downside to that. So, those kinds of pieces of equipment, different lighting and whatnot, absolutely can't hurt. Let's have a look. My next slide. Strategy 3. Use staging to create emotion. So is staging worth it? Right? I know we've got somebody here who stages, so I'm sure there'll be a resounding yes. I will tell you, what the numbers say. This is according because research according to Coldwell Banker and to the Real Estate Staging Association. Staged homes spend half as long on market, as other houses, sell 6% above asking, and for 1 to 5% more than unstaged comps. So I will say that I got this information from the Real Estate Staging Association. So that's I'm sure that the data is credible. I didn't myself. You know, I didn't get it from a data scientist directly. So I think that speaks to the value of staging, and I think even more so for flippers because you have another challenge. And let me see if I've called it up. No, I didn't. Actually, at this point, in fact, I think my whole plan was to switch to sharing screen. So as much as I've enjoyed doing this, the rest of this stuff has got like pictures and cool things. So let's see if I can share my screen. And in the meantime, if anybody has other questions, right now is a great time to throw them into the chat. Can everybody see my screen? I'm just gonna run with
Looks
yes.
good. Yeah.
Okay, so use staging to create emotion. I gave you these numbers, and then I started to talk about. I didn't get into this, but I will now. Look, the bottom line is empty homes don't sell as well. Um, Data has suggested, and there's a few reasons for that. Number one, online, it's difficult to see how big a room is without any furniture in it. Like, you can't. Is it big? Is it small? Will the double bed fit in there? Will a king size bed fit in? It's difficult to tell how much furniture will fit to that space. Even when you go in there, it's hard to figure it out. It's hard for buyers to know how they can use an odd space. And odd spaces I love because, that could be a child's playroom, it could be an office and so forth, but without any furniture, like it's tough to kind of figure it out. But most important of all is that buyers can't connect emotionally to empty rooms. And so that's really what that's the challenge that we as investors have who've just flipped a home, got a beautiful place, it's clean, it's lovely, but we haven't. We need to put in that extra piece of emotion into it to create that story, to make it a place people actually want to be in and live in and see themselves in. So let me give you some tips, if I may, for concentrating on tips for empty houses. Some of us clearly in the room here will know these tips, but okay, yeah, good, Katie, excellent point, and we're going to get to that for sure. That's one of my tips. So here's some quick tips for empty homes. Number one is to concentrate on the key rooms. Um, and that is, so let me just get back to that. So what are the key rooms? They're the kitchen, the primary bedroom and the ensuite bath. And as well, very importantly, the room that you see when you first walk in the door. Basically, what do you see when you first walk in the door? So, let's think about that entry for a second. The entryway is going to be that first impression. Um, that you that buyer sees of the home. So make it nice, make sure it looks lovely, and even the journey of the photographer will take that same path. And so you do want to make sure that you've got some cool bulbs planted in the garden. Look, if you moved in, if you picked up the house in the fall, plant bulbs straight away. Right, so that when it comes spring and you're going to start selling at this time of year, those bulbs will have come up. That's kind of a totally easy piece of staging to do. A couple of little details like this in the hallway will begin to cozy these things up. Um, I will add to that the next one. Add warmth to the kitchen is what I added here, and that is what I mean by that. Well, apothecary jars. First and foremost, you've got to love an apothecary jar. They're amazing. But plants, and most of all, it's the bowl of fruit, right? Just a simple bowl of fruit. It's not gonna. It's not even that. It's silly in a way, but you will find everywhere. Start scrolling through good listings, and you'll find a bowl of lemons. Like the bowl of lemons is the ultimate thing, and why? Because no one needs all those lemons. It's because that big pop of yellow. In a room that's otherwise often white. Maybe he's got dark cabinets, but anyway, that pop of yellow is huge to really like bring joy and attention, to this space. So and by the way, don't use mixed fruits. Don't use mixed fruits. Just one color, like one yellow, perfect. Um, so add warmth to the kitchen. Then a touch of luxury to the bathroom, and that's pretty easy. Basically, get some soft fabrics. The bathroom is such a shiny, hard space that something soft, like obviously towels. I'll go back to apothecary jars. I'll do that for a thing. Um, these expenses of decorating the room were part of our budget or an agent will pay? Excellent question. I would say that I have no idea, and you should ask your agent about that. Really, some of these things, some of these tips, your agent will obviously take control of the marketing of this property. So when I suggest these tips, it's like so what's up. You know uh, what some of the pros are doing out there, and that can help you understand whether or not whether you should be asking it of your agent, we should ask them, hey, who handles this? Somebody should do it. And if the agent isn't, then it's great to be on you to do it. And the thing is, they don't have to cost that much. Look, one trip to Home Goods, right? You buy a few of these things, you keep them every time you do a house, you'll have them available to you. And when guests come to stay, you'll have them available then too. Another one that is this is a little over the done. I actually quickly put this picture at the end, perhaps a little too much, but bringing attention to the built-ins. They are an important. If your house is empty, you really want to focus on like, wow, look at those built-in shelving units and so forth. So one or two things in there, a vase, something at least the size of a melon, will not a melon though, hopefully, will draw attention to that and can be pretty cool. Look, the easiest one, one more, of course, is cleaning. Um, a camera has a merciless eye. It sees dirt. So, you know, just make it spotless. And the inside and out. So um, get rid of on the outside that if there's a garden hose hanging out or a dead bush or whatever, just make sure that things have been cleaned up. Look, I even showed a picture of someone spraying down the steps. So really get in there. Um, Look, the last one is perhaps the best one, and I've already seen it in the comments, virtual staging. So, and look, most photographers already offer virtual staging. Ideally, the one that your agent recommends to you. Um, how much is virtual staging? I've seen it as low as $10 up to $60 per photo, probably more these days. Who knows for luxury place? But I think that you can certainly get it in the sort of 20 to $50 range. Um, or you can even do it yourself. There's platforms such as Apply Design. You could check those out. So so give that certainly give that a try if you want to do some virtual staging. Again, it goes back to the question, who's going to pay for it? Um, that's something that you arrange and with your agent, um, and see. They will know. They'll probably certainly know the value of doing it because they're really the sort of marketing expert here. So ask them what they feel about it. If you are doing virtual staging, um, also be I don't want to say demanding, but certainly know what you want. So, you know, the good thing is that because it's quite modern, most of the furniture is going to be really cool and modern. But make sure it's not overcrowded. You don't want to fill this room up. You don't want to hide any of the selling features. Most importantly, you want to make sure that it's still light filled, even though even after they've put all this stuff in, and that all the colors and textures and everything are working. So and here's the best thing: if you're not entirely satisfied, you can go back and ask for a revision because honestly, they're just going to press another button and a different variation is going to come up, and ideally you're going to like that one. So, don't feel shy to tell the virtual stager that it's not perfect. They'll probably give you a couple of versions actually, to be honest. Okay, so next, this is where it starts to get juicy. We can actually see some photos. Yes, Apply Design, right? That was exactly right. That's one that I'm familiar with at least. So, and this strategy is called shoot to kill. We're going to do. We want to get this right. Just gonna go back to this backdrop. So, um, shoot to kill. Let's just say that there are some basics about photography, right? And I'm going to tell you what those basics are. And the first one is verticals and horizontals. So getting the verticals and horizontals right is the holy grail. If a professional photographer is not doing that, then they should be hanging their head. Um, it's not that hard to do, especially even on your phone. You've got that edit function that allows you to do that, but most people do it like back at in using Photoshop or Lightroom or something like that. I did this very quickly and did it so quickly I forgot to take away this little piece down in the bottom corner. But I took this photo, which I found, which was where obviously you can see that the verticals are not straight, and I straightened it. And personally, I think it's a better photo. I hope you do too. It's certainly what people expect when they're looking at a good photograph. So, you know, the best thing you can do is you can hold your camera straight. That makes all the post-production stuff a lot easier. And yeah, that's not always possible, but this is important for your post-production person to be doing, or your photographer. The next part is the rule of thirds. You may have heard of that, you may have not, but the most important thing is that if you line up things on the lines of the rule of thirds, um, that image is going to pack a punch. It's going to feel balanced. Um, Check it out. If you're not familiar with it, check it out a bit more online. See what people are doing, see how it works. But the camera's even conveniently split that way because even the camera manufacturers know that people want to shoot, with that very human desired grid. Next, lots of light. Everybody says it all the time. Well, it's not worth saying again. People love light. In this instance, the photographer shot towards the windows and looks gorgeous, and you just want to dive in. Light is optimistic. It's the images are clear. It's just the sort of the gold standard of interior photography. And some people say shoot on a cloudy day, but I disagree. Honestly, I think light is a much better ally to you than a lack of it. So go sunny. Um, don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry. Look at these beautiful little photos of just people's houses and where light falls. Yours may not have this beautiful dappled filigree work of light on the window, but on the wall. But there will be places that you want to capture, and only you're going to know them because only you have spent time. So at the very least, take a walk before you even pick up your phone or your camera. Take a walk through the house and see and see what's cool, see what you want to grab there, all the little features. Shadows and highlights. There's something. This is a tough one because look at these photos on the left. They're they are, in fact, most of the photos on this screen. There's only one photo on this screen that's been balanced. All the others are either too dark or blown out, or combination of both. So there is a technique. There is a photography technique called bracketing, where you take 5 photographs, probably 4 or 5 photographs of the same scene, and then using in post production, sort of blend them together so that everything, nothing's too dark or too bright. And it's very hard, both inside and outside, to achieve that without without some you know camera trickery like that. Um, I think the iPhone's pretty good at sort of getting all of that information these days and kind of solving it for you. But at the end of the day, Lightroom, the Adobe Lightroom post-production software is really going to do that for you, most effectively. And that does separate the pros from the amateurs. Is that if things are that exposure is well balanced throughout an image. Um, Create a journey. This one I love. I'm a storyteller. I like to think so anyway. And I think that your photo should create a story, and just lead people through the images. It actually helps if you want them to click the third and the fourth image. You will, you want them to be on a journey. So, get them along. Um, don't get carried away. By the way, one last tip before I get into more specifics is don't get carried away and take thousands of photographs. Um, you're better off using your editing brain when you're doing the shoots, than having to just grind through, like, is this one or this one better, and later on. It just takes more time, and who has more time? So now I'm just going to go through the different things you might be shooting, and quickly tell you a bit about them. And this is your lead image, right? It's your most important shot. Um, why? Because apart from all the other reasons, this is the shot the realtor will be using in the listing thumbnail. So it's really got to kick ass, right? And so it has to have both impact and get the buyer's attention, small and large, or the listing will be ignored. And my suggestion would be to give the realtor, if you're going to do your own photography or you're asking your photographer, is make sure the realtor has a couple of different options, 3 different options for them to choose from. Bear this in mind. If you don't shoot No, no, that's I have nothing more to bear in mind. Just give them that information. Here, the top version is straight on. Everyone loves a straight on shot. Um, and you can't go wrong with it. Just make sure that you're somewhere where the light is falling. That you go outside when the light is falling on the front of your house. So that will be in the morning, for instance, if you're shooting, if you have an east-facing home, and figure it out, based on what your house is. It's a nice, got all the straight lines, nice and simple and powerful. By the way, that blue sky, I'm sure that they probably jack that up afterwards in post. That's exactly the kind of thing that you do want to do. Big blue skies are really important thumbnails. And the one below is the twilight image shot. Now, people love it. The data proves it's effective. It's hard to do, what is it exactly? The best twilight, I looked for this one, right? Because this is the best example of a twilight shot is when the exposure of the window, the right exposure that you should be using for the windows and the right exposure is the same as the exposure for the sky, right? And so you have this beautiful little moment through the lens of a camera, that is. Obviously, all your interior lights are turned on. And it becomes like this little Norman Rockwell fantasy. It's like it just feels so cozy and bright and inviting. And that's what it does. And it has a punch, packs a punch that works. Very hard to do sometimes. Sometimes you luck out. It's really easy. So I would say leave it to the pros. Or in that instance, I'd probably just go with that nice sunny front-facing shot at the top. Setting is really kind of probably about goes back to our aerial photos perhaps. Um, Look at that one on the top. That's silly. No one cares about that arrow and that housing estate up there. Um, and then look down in the bottom corner as well. You have this house which claimed to be mountain view and was and didn't deliver. So your setting shots have to deliver on what your promises are. The image in the middle, I think, is very obviously not all houses have got giant pools and golf courses and lakes, and they don't all need aerial shots or setting contexts actually. But even a photo like this, which just shows the estate that you're going to be in, and makes it feel kind of neighborly and familiar, brought something to the equation. So, consider that when you're considering whether or not you should have setting photography in there. Uh, I call these context shots, right? You'll see in the bottom corner you have the stairs and in this one it looks like why I call this a context shot is because people want to be able to visualize the house, right? And that means that you need to find these ways of like joining the house together. So this photo, the big photo, what I like about it, apart from the fact it's a great photo, I really like this photo, is that you see that sunny little veranda in the front with plants. You see the kitchen, obviously on the right hand side, and you can see the main room as you go through. This allows people to basically get a handle on where they are. So those kind of photos that tell you where everything is placed in the house matter a great deal to people who are buyers who are looking and trying to find a good house. Let me ask this to people: do you notice when you're looking at listings, um, how many of you actually try and figure out the you know the footprint, the layout of the house if it doesn't have one? Yeah, exactly, right. We want to know what it looks like. That's like really important. Otherwise, like, I don't even want to get my head around um, you know what the actual context of the room is. So that's an important one. Actually, we're getting. I'm going to have to move a little faster. Actually, it seems. I know I'm getting into this, but let me just say this: kitchens. right? Kitchens are, in an empty house especially, kitchens are hugely important because that's a place where you've got most stuff, right? You've got most things that you want to photograph, most details, most things that people can immediately recognize and see themselves in. Not to mention, everyone loves a kitchen, and kitchens are huge and important. So, um, make sure that that you get great photos of the kitchen. It's one of the things that they say is a rule of thumb, and I do believe this, is setting your camera height about 20 inches above the highest dominant horizontal surface. And of course, in a kitchen, that's the countertop. So that allows you to see the tops of the counters, not way up, and not like you've got to see the tops of the counters. So the both instances, the height of the camera, worked out really well, so you could see what you were meant to see. And I love the one on the top. How you've got the sun coming in because we're shooting towards the window, and details of the cabinetry and the appliances are obviously like really important. Main room, very tough again in a empty house. Uh, my tip would be to focus on the feature, the main feature. So in the top instance, we've got this like straight on shot. We're seeing the fireplace. Actually, smart move would have been to light a fire in there. Ridiculous, perhaps. So why somebody have a fire in an empty house? But it would have really made warmth in what's otherwise this tiled, quite sort of stark room. So um, that's a top tip. Obviously, the lights are on. Another top tip: shoot towards the windows. Here's one that you may have forgotten because realtors always go in and turn all the lights on. Of course, just before a photo shoot. They're smart. If that fan is going around, it's going to look like you've got a flying saucer in the top of the room. So do make sure that you've at least turned the fan off, even when the light is on, and then wait for a few minutes for it to slow down. Of course. So that's the top image. The image below. I bring this in because you see the fireplace. It allows you to contextualize the space, and then now you can see the next place you can go, right? So the main room also becomes this like hub of like where you say, this is where I am in the house. Um, Bedrooms. Now, bedrooms is we've got a bit of a faux pas here, and then we've got what is the best thing you can do with a bedroom really. So bedroom, in the case of bedroom, it's professionals, in my experience, make sure they shoot an angle that includes the doors and entryways to the bedroom. Um, it seems to matter. People want to know how they're going to get in and where the master bathroom is and so forth. It's a shame that there's no bed here because bed becomes that feature center of the room. Slightly frustrating in an empty room, but of course, virtual staging might help you there. And then you may notice that the photo in the bottom corner is a good example of when wide angle lenses are not your friend. Look, it absolutely bent the side of that window. It looks silly. So never go that hard. Even when you're shooting a tight space, and small bedrooms sometimes can be. Um, am I going too fast? Because we're not even finished, but I've been going at a real pace. So if anybody feels like they've missed something, well, number one, there'll be a video afterwards that you can watch again in slow mo, and number two, I'm happy to answer any questions at all times, by email later on. Bathroom, very quickly. This is one I always love. How do you get that photo where, if you look at the person photo in the top, you see the you see the person taking the photo. Everyone's always trying to like figure that out. Look, it's camera trickery. You take a photograph, you take a photograph, then you turn around, you take a photograph of what's behind, and then you have that reflect in the mirror, just by using Photoshop. So you'll never be able to do it without. This is one that honestly, if you've got a mirror right there in the front, accept that you will need Photoshop to make a good job of that. Um, I took this other photo in the bottom corner, the sort of half bath. No, it's a full bath actually. Think about it, but it's a small bath space, and but it's got everything you need, and obviously the bath toilet seat is down, very important, critical, and the shower door is open, so you can see the tiling inside. The lights are on. Everything you need to know is there that you need to know is there. It's a vertical. Yeah, right, exactly. Toilet seat up. No one wants to know what goes on in there. Vertical is a very rare photo to get because how listings work, it'll end up being very small. So in this instance, I think it's fine because bathroom is pretty small. You don't want to dwell too much on it, but generally, we're doing horizontals. However, I do like that photo. And then features, make sure you get features. Make sure you get features done well. I would say that here's two photos of the same carport, right? The one on the top is fine, good, great. I see a carport, but the one below, that's powerful. I'm like excited by this carpool now. I want to be like, I want to be in there. I want to be pulling up in my like really cool car in there. So, um, you know, it does matter that you spent the time to look at the features and figure out what's the feature about this feature, what's cool about it, and then capture it that way. So let's always spend that extra time. Here's some fun ones. That we can use to sort of wrap up here. The toilet seat up, yuck. Very important. Wonky photographs. Data is shown. Wonky photographs never get people zoom go away. They're like they just don't want to deal with imperfection, right? Remember that your photos should be nice and clean and perfect. People don't want to deal with imperfection. And look, if you do clean up outside, this pool is not a feature. It's become disgusting because we're seeing, what? It's just leaves collected in the bottom. But I'm absolutely grossed out by it, and I never want to see that pool again. Um, if you go right now to the MLS, you'll find there are sideways photos. Come on, if you're an agent or whoever you are, just have a look at the photo before you upload it, because it might be sideways, and that would be silly. So blur, of course, down here with the toilet, the blurry. We don't want blurry. Clean. Look at these mirrors, right? Look at this. That I'm outraged by the fact no one ran, a paper towel over that mirror. These are actual photographs in listings on the MLS. So that's not good. And then look at this bathroom photo in the bottom corner. She's desperately trying not to be in the mirror, but she is, right? You're not whatever you do, you're always going to end up being reflected. Nothing you can really do about it. Here's some other examples. That garage, look, you don't put in stuff that's no good. If it's horrible photograph, don't include it, right? This is a kitchen that's way too high and no detail because it's all blown out. Other photographs of things that are blown out. That's really all stuff that you shouldn't be doing. We're about 5 minutes to go. I'm just going to continue through. Hopefully, there'll be enough time for questions at the end. And my last strategy is own your listing. Right? What does that mean? What it means is that there are ways to post your listing and to get it right. And if you get it right, that's more money in the bank. So there's data. The great thing is about listings and about all digital things really is there's data to back up these findings. So these are actual facts, right? And the first one is keep it to 20 to 25 shots. That's the golden zone. People literally will stop, won't click if you have more because they will lose focus or they won't be on journey any longer. And so that's just to use discretion. Just cover what you need and no more than that. The lead image has to be a front-facing view of the house because a lot of the times these sites will automatically replace pictures that are not, right? And then they'll just pull it from the Google front view, and then you'll also get deranked by the algorithm because they're having to do this kind of stuff. So the lead has to be the front view of the house. Light, bright, sunny. We know that. Sequence your shots. We talked about that a little bit more, but bear in mind, that you are the person who, when you give that to the agent, sequence them before you give the agent your shots. They probably won't get around sequencing themselves otherwise. And no marketing information on the images and lol. Look at that. That's funny. And then the last thing is the algorithm is watching you. So basically, that means that like Zillow's algorithm these days will actually use the photos to determine the price a little bit. They'll factor into the price. Did the photos show granite countertops? That might help. Did it show dead shrubs in the front yard? That might reduce the value. So your estimate is also impacted by your photographs. And with that, I'm simply going to say, and did I have anything else to say about it? Remote. Oh yeah, that's the very last thing I want to say. Here's the juice that no one else is going to tell you. right? I'm glad you stayed till 6:57 Eastern because this is the most important thing I want to say. When you use Backflip, when you get a Backflip loan, when you're ready to list that house, right? Tell your tell your Backflip rep, say, look, do me a favor. Can you get? I want to get a bunch of likes on this listing. We will do it. We at Backflip, right? We're so crazy. We are so into your success that most of the people in Backflip will then go on to Zillow or Redfin or whatever, and Realtor and actually like your listing, right? And that's huge because if you can get okay, two questions. That's great. All I wanted to say is that look, if you can get good listings, your Zillow will boost you higher, and that's really important. So promote. All right, let's ask some questions. Taking questions, 6:58, taking questions. First of all, I guess the last thing was to say thank you and then questions. So I've called last time 10 agents, and they always say they have some professional available for $300, budget for taking one shoot. Well, look, how long should it take? Okay, number one, $300 in LA, probably what you would expect. Um, that they're busy sounds like what you'd expect too. One of the reasons why it's so frustrating to work with to get photographers, one of the reasons some people decide to go DIY. There are obviously various sites, but you want to use the photographers that agents recommend. But agents recommend photographers because they're good and they're popular because they're good. So um, good. I'm glad that we thank you, Sonia, for coming, and I appreciate you mentioning. Just to answer this last question quickly, which was uh, how long should a shoot take? I think a shoot is going to. I think it's not up to me. The photographer probably is going to book you. It's going to give you an hour. You can ask for more, but you can say come at this time so that we can so that you can get an evening shot or a morning shot or something. So you can ask for more, but they'll tell you what how many hours you'll get. Do you have recommendations for shooting short-term, mid-term properties? Um, well, they'll be, that's a good question and one that I didn't think about in terms of, in terms of this presentation, because I get thinking about like just to fix some flips, but actually short and midterm properties, a lot of the staging will be a little bit different, of course, because you're going to have furniture, right? And so I'm going to have to do that. That's a whole nother webinar. Staging with furniture. Absolutely. I'm going to answer all those questions for you then. Um, and Right, good. Even in, good, I hope somebody, like, I hope this comment section becomes a great place for people to actually find a good photographer. And you know, if there are any other questions, I'll definitely stick around for a couple more minutes. Did I miss any? Um, so tips for new construction. I think a lot of that is also going to come in with sort of empty home tips that I suggested. In a way, I would say that think about the photography early. You know, if you, in some ways, it's really helpful. All right, I guess I'll say this: go stand in the doorway of the house, whether it's finished or not quite finished. Stand in the doorway and say, "This is what the buyer's first going to see when they walk in." Right? What should that be? What kind of moment should that be? You have an opportunity at this whilst you're building this experience to build that particular experience. The experience of walking in, it's a huge one and will probably make an impact on your sale price. Um, Prepping before the photographer arrives, absolutely, yeah, totally. If they've got an hour, that means you should do all the prep beforehand. You should probably have asked them what they expect of you. Who's picking up the garden hose? Who's doing this? Is the photographer doing that? Are you doing that? Is the real estate agent doing that? That's a clarity that you want to have so that it's not forgotten. Also, time isn't wasted. I can't say who's going to do it, but I would say that you're the owner of this project. So make sure it gets done. Um, any other questions, thoughts? Mariah, did I miss anything?
This was so great. I love the specificity too. There were some things where I was like, wow, okay, 20, I have to do 20 inches above. I just thought it was great. I thought you did an amazing job. And thank you
Bring your
so
tape
much.
measure. Bring your tape measure. That's for sure.
Yeah,
And if it's
I
18,
learned a
I'm going to
lot.
know. I'm going to know, and it won't be good.
Yeah. No, I learned a lot. It was great.
Everybody.
And thank you all so much. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up the session for today. You'll get a recording of it. And do reach out to Roman in email if you do have follow-up questions. Additionally, we do these webinars twice a month, so a variety of topics. If you have anything you want to see featured, please go ahead and send that to us, and we will follow up with you in email. But again, thank you so much. This was
Thank you,
lovely.
everybody, for coming. Really appreciate all the questions. Thanks a lot. Cheers, guys.